All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And as I continue to talk division by division for the upcoming MLB season, right now I want to take this time out to talk about all things in the American League Central. Now, the AL Central was extremely surprising in 2024. And the reason why is this: there were two divisions last year that sent three teams to the playoffs, and the AL Central was one of those divisions. On top of that, the American League Central sent all three participants to the divisional round. And when it was all said and done, every team within the AL Central won at least one playoff series last year. On top of that, four teams in the Central last year finished the year with winning records. No other division in Major League Baseball could say that. You think about, and I've talked about this for the longest time. Clearly, it's not that way anymore, but so many dominant years by the American League East with the depth there. And now you look at things in the Central, and I think this division on the low really has a potential to do some positive things this year. Okay. You look at the Cleveland Guardians, and of course, the last 7 years have seen the Guardians alternate in regards to making the postseason and missing out. And of course, if you're Cleveland, you're hopeful that that trend does not continue here in 2025 as the Guardians are the defending AL Central champs. Stephen Vogt's second year as the Guardians manager, and he pushed all of the right buttons for Cleveland last year to get them to the postseason. One big thing and one big question for Cleveland: will pitching continue to be a strength there? We know about Beebe, we know about Ben Lively, and of course, another big part of this pitching staff is the return of Shane Bieber. Of course, he was shut down with Tommy John surgery, so let's see how he comes back for Cleveland in 2025. Emmanuel Clase getting that ball in the ninth inning. He has been one of the most dominant closers in baseball in recent years, and of course, if you are the Guardians, you hope that that trend continues because we're talking about a guy in Class A who has more saves than any other player in franchise history. Strong bullpen for Cleveland, which includes the likes of Hunter Gaddis. And Cleveland just simply knows how to get that timely hitting. Third baseman Jose Ramirez continues to get it done. And then Carlos Santana is back in Cleveland once again. This is his third stint with the Guardians. And of course, they're hopeful that he can provide some depth to that lineup as they look to get back to the postseason and, of course, win this division for a second consecutive year. Now, the Detroit Tigers are a very interesting team because on the watch of manager AJ Hinch, they've been chipping away. As in 4 years, they've gone from being cellar dwellers in the AL Central to getting a postseason spot last October, and of course, knocking off the Astros in the wild card round. And after they were within a whisker of the ALCS last year, because they pushed Cleveland to 5 games, that was one of the better series of the postseason. Didn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. Okay, but you got a young Tigers team that's looking to build off of that. You got outfielder Riley Green, who continues to improve at the plate, and this young man is only 24 years of age. Cal One, what's up, my man? How's it going, man? As always, appreciate the support and I appreciate the love, my man. Um, and I know Cal, you follow your Yankees, okay? And I'm gonna segue to here some with something in regards to Detroit because they've got a former Yankee in their fold who I think could have an impact for this club. And I'm talking about one Glaber Torres. Okay. When Glaber was on with the Yankees, he was on. But of course, when he was off, he wasn't. And the rest was history. So if he's locked in this year for the Detroit Tigers, and I think he will be, I think he has an opportunity to make an impact there. The Tigers' offense has to improve overall because they were in the bottom third of most offensive categories last year in the AL. And of course, when you think about the Tigers, they got a lot of young talent. And then you also look at starting pitcher Tarik Skubal. This kid went 18-4 last year, 228 strikeouts, a 2.39 ERA. And if he is going to be that dominant once again, the Tigers are going to be in the mix to get to the postseason. Bringing in veteran starting pitcher Alex Cobb to add more depth to this rotation. You got closer Jason Foley, and you have a solid Tigers bullpen as Detroit, and of course, a lot of that had to do with Screwball, but nonetheless, they had the third lowest ERA in the American League in 2024. And the Tigers, they're young, they're exciting, and for the folks in the Motor City and the greater Detroit area, I think, for the first time in a long time, you can be excited about your baseball club this summer. Now, the Minnesota Twins, they're trying to navigate their way to get back to winning the AL Central. We saw them get to the postseason in 2023. They won a postseason series, and they took a step back last year. One big thing for me with Minnesota, they need to have a healthy Carlos Correa this year at shortstop. He only appeared in 86 games last season. Of course, we know about Correa. Both the Giants and Mets backed away from signing him, and of course, the rest was history. And of course, they were worried about his injury history. You got talent there with Minnesota, with the likes of veteran outfielder Byron Buxton, as well as starting pitcher Pablo Lopez. But for manager Rocco Baldelli, will he be able to put it all together to get Minnesota to the postseason? And this year, we got to wait and see. The Kansas City Royals, like the Tigers, they were another pleasant surprise in 2025, as we're talking about the Royals having one of the biggest turnarounds in baseball history. They went from being a 106 loss team in 2023 to winning 86 games last year. They got to the postseason, and then, of course, they advanced in the wild card round to the divisional series. But of course, the Royals, they came out of nowhere last year. It's a little bit different when people are expecting you to do something. So let's see what Kansas City can do this year when the expectations are there. Excuse me, make no mistake about it. Shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. is the real deal. And Kansas City knew that as we saw them lock up their youngster to a long-term deal. Okay. He's got the it factor. Okay. It's one of those where he finished second in the AL MVP balloting last year. This kid checks all of the boxes, and I guarantee you that he'll be in the mix to win that award this year. You got a veteran behind the plate in catcher Sal Perez, continues to lead his pitching staff as well as raking at the plate. We saw Kansas City pick up infielder Jonathan India from the Cincinnati Reds. What impact will he have? You've got first baseman Vinny Pasquantino as well. And then the Royals pitching staff was a pleasant surprise in 2024. Can they do it again? Because Kansas City had 76 quality starts last year. That was second in the American League. Seth Lugo and Michael Waka came up big as they combined to win 29 games for the Royals. You had Cole Reagans reach 22 strikeouts for the second consecutive year. So for Matt Quintaro's group in Kansas City, like I said, they snuck up on some people last year. Won't be as easy this year, but I think the Royals will be in the mix to win this division. And finally, you've got the Chicago White Sox. And it's unfortunate what has happened to the White Sox in the hands of owner Jerry Reinsdorf. And it's unfortunate that they get talked about as if they are an afterthought. The White Sox have a long and storied history as far as baseball franchises, but you wouldn't know that after what has happened over the last couple of years. We're talking about a White Sox team that has had consecutive 100 loss seasons. And last year, we saw this team struggle to win 40 games. That's how bad it was. And I think there's going to be a struggle again this year for the White Sox. I think they are going to lose at least 100 games again. Last year was so bad because they were never over 500 at any point of the 2024 season. Andrew Benintendi was the only player for Chicago that had at least 20 home runs. Okay. Um, if you're a youngster in the White Sox system, you got an opportunity to shine right now. Why? Because there's not a lot of talent there. So you're going to get your opportunity for the show. So I want to see what a guy like infielder Colson Montgomery is going to do right here. One bright spot for Chicago last year was Garrett Crochet. He had 209 strikeouts, but then Chicago traded him to the Boston Red Sox. So you look at it, you've got a first year manager in Will Venable. I'm sure he's going to try to bring some excitement to this club, but it's tough when they've been so bad and for so long. And like I said, 100 losses in baseball is bad. There is no getting around that, and that's how bad that the White Sox have been. For me, I think a successful season for Chicago would be if they didn't lose 100 games, but that's easier said than done because at this point they simply don't have the horses to pull the buggy. All right. So I think they're going to be fighting upstream once again. I think the other four teams in this division are going to be battling it out. And when it's all said and done, I really think it could be a two, maybe three team race between the Guardians, between the Royals, and between the Detroit Tigers. And when it's all said and done, I'm rolling with the Detroit Tigers to win this division. I think, you know, putting all of the scandals aside with the Houston Astros, I think AJ Hinch is a solid manager. Okay. And I don't think he gets enough credit for it because of the baggage that he brought over from Houston. But nonetheless, you look at how this club has improved with him there. They have a plan, they are developing their young talent. And when it's all said and done, I think the Tigers are the most talented team in this division. I think they get it done. And I think they have what it takes to win the Central. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. Also, there's the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And as I continue to talk about the upcoming MLB season division by division, be sure to check out this channel tomorrow as I will be talking all things National League Central. But once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.